Attorney Henry Leventis from the Middle District of Tennessee. After the remarks, they will take a few questions. AAG Clark, the floor is yours.
My name is Kristen Clark, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the Department of Justice. I am joined by United States Attorney Henry Leventis for the Middle District of Tennessee. We are here today to announce that the United States Department of Justice is launching a civil investigation into Trousdale Turner Correctional Center located in Hartsville, Tennessee. Core Civic, a private company, operates Trousdale Turner on behalf of the Tennessee Department of Correction. This investigation will examine whether the state protects people incarcerated at Trousdale Turner from harm, including violence and sexual abuse. We are conducting this investigation under the Civil Rights for Institutionalized Persons Act, which authorizes the Department of Justice to investigate state institutions to determine whether they subject people incarcerated there to a pattern or practice of constitutional violations. Based on an extensive review of publicly available information and information gathered from stakeholders, we find strong grounds to open this investigation now. Violence at Trousdale Turner reportedly has been endemic since it opened in 2016. Recent reported incidents of violence include stabbings of 5 people within a 3-week span in early 2024, at least 196 assaults, 2 murders, and 15 deaths that the facility classified as accidental between July of 2022 and June of 2023. At least 90 incidents of sexual misconduct in that same time frame. Large amounts of contraband, including 97 knives found in June of 2023 alone. The facility houses about 2,500 people, and Tennessee has known of the issues at Trousdale Turner for years. Audits in 2017, 2020, and 2023 flagged problems with understaffing and cited concerns by staff members for their own safety. One audit explicitly cautioned that the Tennessee Department of Corrections' inadequate monitoring of operations at Trousdale Turner, quote, could result in harm, end quote, to people housed there. The state's auditors also observed that a single correctional officer was responsible for supervising over 300 people. The Civil Rights Division has received almost 100 complaints regarding the conditions at Trousdale, and these complaints come from incarcerated people, community groups, and concerned family members. In our country, people do not surrender their constitutional rights at the prison door. Every person held in a jail or prison retains the fundamental right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. In our legal system, proper punishment does not and cannot ever include violence and sexual abuse. This investigation should send a very clear message. When states choose to have private companies run their prisons, they remain liable for the conditions inside those facilities. Private prisons are not above the law. States and localities retain their constitutional duty to protect prisoners from violence and sexual abuse. Core Civic operates Trousdale Turner on behalf of Tennessee, but Tennessee remains obligated to ensure that the people are housed in conditions that satisfy the Constitution. This investigation will determine whether the state is meeting that responsibility. The investigation will be conducted by a team of career attorneys from the Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Tennessee. Our investigation will be independent, thorough, and fair. If we find reasonable cause to believe there is a systemic constitutional violation, we'll provide written notice to the state, setting forth the supporting facts and the minimum remedial measures. If not, we'll close the investigation. We notified officials of the investigation earlier today and have pledged that we will work cooperatively with them in conducting the investigation and in identifying solutions to any problems that we uncover. This is but the latest investigation into conditions in correctional facilities around the country. We do this work because every American retains their basic constitutional rights, even when held in a jail or prison. In Alabama, our ongoing litigation of conditions inside men's prisons seeks to address the prevalence of violence and sexual abuse and the staff's use of excessive force. In Mississippi, we issued findings reports in April of 2022 and February of this year concerning conditions in 4 state prisons, including one privately operated prison. These reports outline how the state fails to safeguard the constitutional rights of incarcerated people, including by failing to protect them from physical violence. And in Georgia, our investigation into the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta continues, and we're assessing whether unconstitutional conditions exist, including violence against incarcerated people across the Georgia Department of Corrections. Let me close by reiterating this point. Whatever their arrangements with private companies to operate prisons, states remain obligated to protect prisoners from violence and sexual abuse. If in this investigation we determine that the state has fallen short of that obligation, we will seek to work with them cooperatively to develop meaningful and durable reforms that ensure compliance with constitutional standards. I now turn the floor over to U.S. Attorney Leventis, who will offer remarks.
U.S. Attorney, please unmute. Can you unmute U.S. Attorney Leventis? U.S. Attorney Leventis, can you turn your mic on, please? I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you.
Apologize. Good morning. Thank you, Assistant Attorney General Clark. My name is Henry Leventis. I'm the United States Attorney for the Middle District of Tennessee. My district includes Trousdale County, where the Trousdale-Turner Correctional Center is located. Trousdale is the state's largest prison, and while it is part of the Tennessee Department of Corrections prison system, Trousdale is owned and operated by Core Civic, a for-profit private company. Our decision to open an investigation into Trousdale was informed by a comprehensive review of years of publicly available information, as well as years of concerns expressed by members of this community. Concerns about their family and their loved ones who have been incarcerated at Trousdale and the conditions they are experiencing. The purpose of the investigation is to determine whether Tennessee is meeting its legal obligations to those individuals. Just as we expect those individuals incarcerated at Trousdale to follow the law, we expect the state of Tennessee to follow the law. And that means upholding the constitutional rights of incarcerated people. The right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment, the right to be protected from known risks of harm. So the investigation announced today seeks to determine if Tennessee is meeting its legal obligation to protect people incarcerated at Trousdale from known risks of harm. Our decision to open the investigation was informed by publicly available information suggesting that Trousdale has been plagued by chronic and serious problems since it first opened its doors. This includes reports of physical assaults, sexual assaults, murders, an unchecked flow of contraband, and severe staffing shortages. Reports of these types of issues have been well documented, and they have been known to the Tennessee Department of Correction for years. In fact, 3 separate audits by the Tennessee Comptroller's Office have identified serious staffing issues at Trousdale. In 2023, a report noted that Trousdale had a 188% turnover rate for correctional officers. Of the 6 prisons that state auditors inspected in 2023, Trousdale had the highest number of necessary but unfilled correctional officer posts. At Trousdale, auditors also observed that 1 correctional officer was responsible for 3 pods within a housing unit, which meant that a single officer was tasked to supervise 360 people. The same reports that identified staffing shortages at the prison have also identified repeated lapses in supervision and protection at Trousdale. For example, according to these reports, Trousdale's homicide rate has exceeded the national average for prisons when compared to the latest available national data. There have been numerous lawsuits against the state related to physical assaults, sexual assaults, overdoses, and murders within the prison. And as Assistant Attorney General Clark noted a moment ago, just this year, 5 individuals incarcerated at Trousdale were reportedly stabbed within a 3-week span. Yet against this backdrop, Tennessee has repeatedly renewed its contract with Trousdale County and CoreCivic to utilize Trousdale as a state prison. But the state is ultimately responsible for the safety of those incarcerated at Trousdale, and it cannot contract away that responsibility. So this investigation is necessary. It's necessary to determine whether Tennessee is adequately protecting people incarcerated at Trousdale from known risks of harm. I want to take just a moment to thank my friend, Assistant Attorney General Clark, for her leadership on the issue of conditions in correctional facilities, both here in Tennessee and across the United States. And I also want to thank the attorneys in my office and the Civil Rights Division for the tremendous work that preceded the initiation of this investigation. Thank you.
We have time for a few questions. If you would like to ask a question, please use the raise your hand function in Zoom. If you would like to ask a question, please use the raise your hand function in Zoom.
I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand. I know it's sad, but
Oh, is this Travis
Yeah.
with Associated Press?
yes.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First for Assistant Attorney General Clark, thank you. You said something about, did you say there were, did I get this correct, that you said there were 2 murders that were classified as accidents?
Yes, at least 196 assaults, 2 murders, and 15 deaths that the facility classified as accidental between July 2022 and June of 2023.
I see. So all of those were classified as accidental. Or the deaths.
The 15 deaths.
The 15 deaths. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. I just want to clarify that. And I think this is for U.S. Attorney Leventis. My recollection is that Trousdale, that the state actually contracts with the county, and the county is officially, and they subcontract to CoreCivic to get around the law, that state law, that we can only have one private prison. So what is the county's responsibility here?
U.S. Attorney Leventis, you'll have to unmute.
Sure, thank you. That is a correct characterization of the contracting. The contracts are with the County of Trousdale, and then they subcontract with CoreCivic. Ultimately, the responsibility to uphold constitutional rights with respect to incarcerated people lies with the state of Tennessee, who where this investigation is focused.
Sorry, any other questions? Okay, if no, hearing none, thank you so much for attending the press conference. Our press release is out. Please let us know if you have any additional questions. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
So